Especially Kmart.
Just wait till we get our hands on you.
A partly cloudy evening with temperatures in the 70s.
Good evening, I'm Hugh Downs.
And I'm Barbara Walters. And this is 2020.
From ABC News, around the world and into your home, the stories that touch your life with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters. This is 2020. Tonight, a woman facing a crisis. Breast cancer killed her mother, her grandmother, her aunt. Then her sister got it. Now, she's terrified.
Now I know, beyond all doubt, that I will develop the disease.
So she has started taking this drug. Can a pill prevent breast cancer? ABC News medical editor Dr. Timothy Johnson investigates. Can this pill save me? Stay-at-home sons. Pushing 30, but still in the nest.
Do you do his laundry for him? Yes.
They're healthy, well-educated.
You iron for him? Yes.
They talk about leaving, but never do.
Do you cook for him?
An expert calls it the Peter Pan syndrome.
Get a job. Get a better job. Get a second job. Work.
Lynn Scher on a trend shaping the 90s. Still living with mom. Plus, pork barrel politics. Congress okayed millions of dollars to get electricity from the Northern Lights.
It is a fabulous project.
For Idaho, millions for relieving traffic congestion.
Why don't you fix your own road? Why should I have to pay for it?
For Pennsylvania, millions for a monorail.
This rail system in Altoona for a population of 50,000 people?
And West Virginia, it gets more money for special road projects than all the other states combined. Is it because of its powerful senator?
Are you not at all embarrassed about how much you got compared to the rest of the country?
John Stossel asking Congress to explain your tax dollars at work. Those stories tonight, June 19th, 1992, after this brief message.
Sears is the place for great Father's Day gift ideas. Save now on this Craftsman half-horsepower garage door opener, only $139.99. And that includes 2 3-function transmitters. It's a great idea for Father's Day from Sears.
A woman's sensitive system. Some women have sensitive systems. Tension, diet can make them irregular. New Correctol Extra Gentle is a laxative with no stimulant, no cramps. New Correctol Extra Gentle, sensitive to a sensitive system.
Did you get paid today? Well, if so, maybe you're upset about all those tax dollars that went to Uncle Sam instead of into your wallet. Especially when we hear that there doesn't seem to be money for the most desperate causes. And yet, Congress manages to come up with hundreds of millions of dollars for their pet projects.
Well, tonight we'll show you how that happens and why they get away with it. It's the result of powerful members of Congress flexing their muscles behind closed doors. And even if the results help your state, is it fair and does it benefit the nation as a whole? John Stossel has our report, one in which tax dollars flow freely and all roads seem to lead to Washington.
Caribou and Bannock Counties, Idaho, got a big gift from you taxpayers this year. Their congressman and senator arranged that $10 million of your money should be sent here.
$10 million, that's a lot of money.
His county, which has more cows than cars, is getting the money for congestion relief.
Traffic congestion in Caribou County? Impossible. No, I don't think so.
The University of Alaska got millions of your tax dollars, too. All because Senator Ted Stevens thought it would be great if you could run your household appliances on electricity from the Northern Lights.
It is a fabulous project. It has the potential of using a laser beam to be a conductor of this energy back to Earth. And
a noble idea, but even the scientists getting the money say it can't be done.
I mean, everything is possible, but as we understand science today, I would say categorically no.
Still, he won't turn the money down. He says he and other scientists will use the $44 million for other legitimate research projects. But there's no way they'll harness the Northern Lights.
Projects like those are called pork, and their purpose is to funnel jobs and money to that congressman's constituents. Then those people may vote for him or her. A few of the projects are a total waste of money. Some road does get built. But can America afford this? The money for the pork comes from the national treasury, but most of the projects don't help the nation as a whole. This is why most pork would never pass Congress the regular way. You know, public hearings, public debate, a public vote. So basically, powerful members of Congress sneak the pork in. The Idaho congestion money, for example, was added to a highway bill at the last second in a secretive session.
It's in there because some very powerful senator or powerful congressman put it in there.
New Hampshire Senator Bob Smith is upset about the way these bills are passed.
They're not competitively bid. They're not authorized. There are no hearings.
Nobody raises a question? What is this about? Or it's just, here's one for you?
Well, a little of that we don't really know because they go into closed doors and nobody, they close the door and nobody talks about it. It just appears.
The man behind the millions to get electricity from the Northern Light, Senator Stevens, would not talk to us about pork. Senator Steve Sims is the man who got the congestion relief money for the counties in Idaho.
How congested could they be?
Well, there's a lot, you know,
there's 4,000 people in
Well, there's
Caribou.
more than that in Caribou County. There's not much congestion.
But isn't this a little crazy, a congestion
Well,
project?
that's simply a justification. What we did is broaden it so they could use the money anywhere in those two counties. If you want to drive from Missoula, Montana to Idaho Falls, Idaho, it's important that we fix that road.
Why don't you fix your own road? Why should I have to pay for it?
Well, our view in Idaho is that if that's what the country wants to do, we would be very happy to do it. We'd also...
Sim's record does show he has consistently voted against many pork-like projects. But when most every other congressman takes projects home, he says it would be a mistake for him not to.
My mother didn't raise any fools, and it would be absolutely foolish for me as a senator to turn back funds that would otherwise go to Idaho.
Bud Schuster isn't turning away any money either. 10 terms in Congress have made him a ranking member of the Transportation Subcommittee. This is a great post for distributing pork because he gets to dip his hands into things like this year's new $150 billion highway bill. Schuster managed to get more money added for special projects for his one district than any other entire state.
Everybody wants something for their district. So why do you get it when some of them don't?
The legislation on the House side essentially gets written, gets crafted by what's called in the committee the Big Four. And obviously, if we're the ones writing the bill, we're going to be particularly sensitive to what's good for Pennsylvania, what's good for central Pennsylvania.
You've really taken care of central Pennsylvania. I mean, your district got more than entire states.
Well, we certainly have fared very well, but we've been able to make the case that we needed to do this.
You needed more than Illinois?
Illinois made out extremely well in the bill.
But nobody made out like your district.
Well, that's correct. That's correct. And we're very proud of that. And we believe that the reason we did so well is not only because I sit where I do on the committee, but also because we were able to build the case to justify it.
Oh, yes, they do justify it. So it's remarkable in this age of almost a $4 trillion national debt, constantly growing, as you can see from this billboard in Manhattan, growing at a rate of more than $10,000 per second. It's remarkable what they can justify when it's not their money they're spending, and they're spending it on their district.
Schuster's district is in the middle of Pennsylvania. Altoona's the big city. And even people here were puzzled by what their congressman planned to give them, a suspended rail system.
I just couldn't see a monorail in Altoona. I don't know. I don't think it's a big enough city.
Congressman Schuster thought it was a big enough city. His plan, the monorail, this is a prototype, could carry people from this bus station, 3 miles, to this shopping mall. Can't see the mall? Well, that's because it's yet to be built. But it will be built by one of Schuster's big campaign contributors. Eventually, Schuster's proposal received some criticism, even from his local paper. Then Schuster changed the bill So it now no longer demands that the rail system goes specifically to Altoona.
It's your role as a congressman to get what you can for your constituents.
Well, my role is to try to be a national transportation congressman to do what's right for America. There are few things which can do more for an economy or for a country than investing in infrastructure.
But this rail system in Altoona for a population of 50,000 people?
If you're referring to the project on a light rail system, that doesn't go to Altoona. That was an early draft of the bill. That is not the legislation.
Why would you even?
That's not where it
What were
goes.
you thinking about when you said, let's spend $10 million a mile to build a little train that goes to my friend's shopping center?
Well, that's not true. It wasn't my thought process. It was the thought process of the community. The community coming forward and saying that this is going to be the future. Now, certainly, I have hundreds of contributors, and businessmen in the area are contributors to me, and I'm very proud that they are. But this was not something that I dreamed up.
You weren't doing favors for your friend?
Well, of course not. Of course not.
Okay, so Altoona might get a little train. Idaho, a new road. But if you really want to see pork, come to West Virginia. This state's known for its lush natural beauty, for its mountain ranges and rivers. But that's not why it got more money for a fish and wildlife project than any state ever. It could be said that West Virginia's most valuable resource is Senator Robert Byrd, chief of the Appropriations Committee. Byrd's committee must approve every dollar the Senate spends, and Byrd admits he's using that power to help West Virginia. In 1989, he wrote in $5 million for a fish and wildlife training center near Harper's Ferry. Just 3 years later, that project's ballooned to $44 million, and now it includes a fitness center. Byrd got $4 million to renovate this theater in Huntington, West Virginia, even though right down the street, a newly built state-owned theater remains closed due to lack of operating funds. Then there are the courthouses, $80 million to replace this Charleston courthouse, another $25 million to replace this courthouse in his hometown of Beckley. This empty-looking town needs a new courthouse? Byrd's also moved big chunks of the federal government to West Virginia. He's gotten a Bureau of Debt office for Parkersburg, a Coast Guard center for Martinsburg, an IRS office for Beckley. They finally did stop him from moving the entire CIA to West Virginia, but he's still got a $185 million FBI fingerprinting center to be built near the town of Clarksburg. So what if the site's in farm country and hard to get to? Byrd got $13 million more to build a new road to the project.
I get the money. He builds them. I buy them. He builds them. Yeah.
3 years ago, Byrd boasted to local businessmen that during his first term as appropriations chief, he'd bring home $1 billion in federal money. He's bettered his boast. He's brought home $1.5 billion, and his term is only half over. Now, Senator Byrd rarely grants interviews on this subject, but after months of our asking, he did agree to talk.
Sure, I said. I wanted to be $1 billion senator for the state. But I wasn't talking about just cramming money into appropriation bills out of consideration only for the money flow to West Virginia and not considering the merit to the project.
But doesn't this hurt the country? Spending, you bring home some to West Virginia, he brings home some to Texas?
You know, I would think that the national media could rise above the temptation of being clever. Decrepitarian critics who twaddleize, just as what you're doing right here.
Twaddleizing?
Twaddleize. Trivializing serious matters are misleading the American people.
But this isn't
we
trivial.
ought to put on a serious program, and I'll help you. I'll help you do that.
This isn't trivial. This is a lot of money you're taking from me and my children to spend in West Virginia on roads that are not used by that many people.
West Virginia is one of the 50 states. What benefits West Virginia helps the nation. So what have I been doing for West Virginia? I've been putting infrastructure there. These projects go through a screening process. And they're supported by the Congress on their merit.
On their merit? The Congress wants all this money to go to West Virginia. It's not because you're powerful.
Congress wants this infrastructure to go to the country.
But the Congress wants so much of it to go to your state?
The Congress wants it to go to the country.
Byrd's critics say Congress never really examines it.
This stuff is just put in. The staff prepares, say, hey, we need some money for whatever, an FBI fingerprinting center, and let's put it in there, Senator Byrd, and by golly, nobody's going to challenge you, and you'll get it. They're working the system.
Milking as much money for their people.
Absolutely. And that's the way the process is around here. But if you play that game, you'll never change it.
You often slip these things in.
Oh, no, they're not slipped in. Again, you're listening to the critics who twaddleize. They need to take a course in the legislative process.
Well, I think we know it's legal, but is it right?
It's not a matter of it's being legal. It's the appropriations process. And these very senators have the opportunity to stand on the floor and offer amendments to take out anything that they want to try to take out.
Senator Smith tried that recently, but failed to stop Byrd. In this year's transportation bill, Byrd appropriated for his little state more money for special road projects than the rest of the country got combined.
$387 million of money in a pool to spread around. Roughly 50% of the $387 million went to West Virginia. Is that fair to the other 49 states?
Half for the whole country and half for your state?
Well, let me address that. When we build the Appalachian corridors, we're stimulating the economy. We're creating jobs.
In West Virginia?
Don't interrupt me.
Sir.
Those corridors are not used just by West Virginians. They're used by you and by other Americans.
Well, clearly you can justify every penny that gets spent in West Virginia, and it's not thrown on the ground. It's spent for infrastructure and real projects. But is there no limit? Are you not at all embarrassed about how much you got compared to the rest of the country?
Are you embarrassed when you think you're working for the good of the country? Does that embarrass you?
No.
I'm not embarrassed either.
John, I got some questions I want to ask you, but I'm afraid I'll twaddleize. First of all, well, go ahead.
We did look up that word. It is a real word. It means to talk foolishly. And on Byrd's behalf, I want to explain one reason he said that is that if you're really going to take a serious look at the budget, you have to also look not just at his kind of pork, but at the entitlements, the people pork, those regular checks we've gotten used to. That's where the big money is. On the other hand, if they can't cut nonsense like harnessing the Northern Lights, when will they ever attack the big projects?
You are infuriating. You're dogged. Anyway, was Senator Byrd infuriated?
Actually, he was very friendly afterward. He gave me a book that he wrote and spent a lot of time with us, giving us a chalk talk.
Any chance that publicity about this kind of thing might have an effect on people remaining in the Congress to make them think more of the nation as a whole?
I don't know. There's been publicity about this kind of thing for a long time. I mean, maybe now that the debt is growing so fast, maybe that will move people.
Possible. Thank you, John.
Well, coming up, an astounding possibility, a drug that could prevent breast cancer. For this woman, it's hope born out of a very real fear. Breast cancer has already killed many of the women in her family. Dr. Timothy Johnson reports right after this.
2020, brought to you by AT&T. In long-distance services, information and network systems, telephones and computers, AT&T is the right choice.
In our universe, there was always the unknown, the unpredictable. All we can do is prepare for it.
We actually have an air patrol watching over our cables. At AT&T, we go to great lengths to protect your 800 service.
Hello, 800 Flowers.
We can send flowers for any occasion, anytime, anywhere. But if our 800 service goes down, we're reminded that our business is very perishable.
AT&T is installing our new FastStar technology now to protect businesses. FastStar can detect a cable cut instantly and design a solution around it. 800 calls can get back in minutes instead of hours.
Dear Mom, I miss you. Love, Sally.
AT&T has the most reliable 800 service, period.
In this business, opportunity doesn't knock, it calls. And that's why we chose AT&T 800 service.
AT&T. Call us. NutraSweet. It's in over 4,000 products and enjoyed in 50 countries. And it lets 200 million people around the world feel better about eating what they want to eat. And what could be better than that?
Free food?
Fair enough. Just look for any product with NutraSweet and you could win a year's supply of groceries. Yeah, that got your attention. Look for details and official rules on the NutraSweet Summer Sweeps in the coupon section of your June 28th paper.
Your breakfast, sir.
This new Kellogg's Frosted Bran is quite sensible. Crispy flakes with whole wheat and bran, slightly frosted for a taste that's delicious. I love it. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I love it. And new Kellogg's Frosted Bran has less sugar than you'd imagine, but the taste, it's out of...
We've got to stop serving this.
New Kellogg's Frosted Bran, wildly delicious, sensibly good.
Saturday. I want to help you put those people away.
You pay us, we make sure you don't have trouble here.
I don't pay. These gangs are different. They're not afraid of cops.
The Commish. Saturday.
Tuesday.
Jack, we got a problem.
What's the problem?
Hal Linden and Finola Hughes run Jack's place.
Love Grand.
Why me? You've got women falling all over you. You can take your pick.
I thought I already did.
We're not right for each other, Greg.
But anything can happen at Jack's place.
So what do we do now?
Suppose that one by one your relatives had died all of the same disease. You are healthy now, but you feel it could be just a matter of time until you're next. In a moment, you're going to meet a woman who feels that she is indeed racing the clock. But there may be hope for her, and her story of hope may hold good news for some of the many thousands of American women who fear breast cancer. ABC News medical editor Dr. Timothy Johnson has our report about a pill that just might prevent breast cancer from developing.
I once told someone jokingly that having cancer in my family was like having a cold in everybody else's family. It's as much a part of our family as freckles are to some other families.
For sisters Anna Dorfner and Olga Wexler, breast cancer is a family legacy. Their grandmother and their aunt died of it, and so did their mother at the age of 47. Anna was 14 then, Olga just 9.
The first I knew that my mother was really ill must have been the day that she had her mastectomy. And I remember when she came home from the hospital, we used to sort of have this ritual where we put our pajamas on together. And she made me go in the bathroom to put my pajamas on. And she wouldn't tell me why. And I remember that. That sticks with me. And not very long after that, she was dead.
Anna and Olga were raised by another aunt who is also currently battling breast cancer. And last year, doctors found a cancerous lump in Anna's breast.
And I think I always knew that I would also get breast cancer. As a matter of fact, I think I really always felt that I would probably be the first one of this generation. And of course, as it worked out, I was.
All I could think of was Anna had cancer in her body. Anna had cancer in her body, and it already took my mother and my aunt, and it hurts people that I love, and I don't want her to be hurt. I didn't want her to be hurt.
All right, number 11 is our kitchen.
Olga feels it's only a matter of time before the family legacy includes her. She says for her, it's not if, but when she'll get the cancer.
One of the terrible things about Anna's having breast cancer is that now I know, beyond all doubt, that I will develop the disease. And the type of breast cancer that my mother and my sister had develops premenopausal. I was 40 years old the other day. My mother was dead by the time she was 47. I have to start doing something that's maybe going to give me a chance, because otherwise I don't have a lot of time. And there's still a lot of things that I want to do.
In fact, Olga's fear is well-founded. She has 4 times the usual chance of getting breast cancer. And she lives with the threat of the disease, not just for herself, but also for her daughters, Bree and Marla. Olga's only options are to have constant checkups or to have both breasts removed before breast cancer develops. But what if Olga could prevent breast cancer simply by taking this little pill on a daily basis? In a large new trial, that's what scientists are trying to show. Half the women will take the drug, half will take a placebo. The drug is tamoxifen, trade name Nalvadex. It has been used for years in treating breast cancer patients after surgery, and it has been shown to reduce recurrence and extend survival time. But now scientists are going the next step, and in this controversial new study, they are suggesting that tamoxifen might work as a preventive drug in healthy women like Olga who do not have breast cancer. Dr. Craig Henderson is chief of medical oncology at San Francisco's University of California.
For us as investigators, as scientists running the study, I believe that we're responding to a public demand, not just from women who are afraid of breast cancer, but in general. Do something to prevent these diseases. And this is a first giant step to try to find a way of dealing with a very common disease. And it seems like the most promising lead we have at the present time.
Tamoxifen, a synthetic hormone, works in treating breast cancer by blocking the body's own estrogen, which feeds the growth of breast cancer cells. It works without the nausea and hair loss caused by chemotherapy, though some women experience hot flashes and vaginal dryness. And because it can also act like estrogen in other parts of the body, some studies indicate that tamoxifen seems to help reduce the risk of heart disease and to help prevent osteoporosis or bone loss. Breast cancer is the most frightening cancer for American women. The terror of the disease has sparked an overwhelming interest in this trial. Many women see the tamoxifen trial as an answer to that fear, a chance to beat the statistics.
Good morning.
7,000 calls jammed the National Cancer Institute's toll-free number in the week after the April 29th announcement of the tamoxifen trial. Dr. Adrienne Fu-Berman is on the board of the National Women's Health Network, an organization which has long supported trials focusing on women's health issues. But the Women's Health Network has voiced strong opposition to experimenting with tamoxifen in healthy women.
It's a very good drug in cancer patients, and it has fewer side effects than many other cancer drugs. But you can't compare it to other cancer drugs if you're going to use it in a healthy population. You have to compare it to other measures that are used in a healthy population. Compare it to a low-fat diet, or compare it to fluoridated water. The risks aren't comparable.
The Women's Health Network has been out in front with its criticism of the study. But 25 scientists have also joined the organization in a letter protesting the trial. These critics want to postpone the trial until certain questions about complications are answered. They point to studies which suggest that tamoxifen can cause serious health problems. 2 known problems with tamoxifen are an increased risk for blood clots and an increased risk for endometrial cancer, that is, cancer of the lining of the uterus. But what is especially troubling to some scientists are more recent reports suggesting that tamoxifen might increase the risk for other tumors, like liver cancer. And a recent joint Swedish-French study says that women being treated with tamoxifen for breast cancer had a slightly higher incidence of abdominal tumors. If tamoxifen promotes new cancers, then opponents of the trial say it has done nothing more than substitute one cancer for another. Hazel Cunningham believes that tamoxifen's risk has been downplayed. She spent the last few weeks attending informational meetings, trying to learn more about tamoxifen side effects. This one was held by San Francisco's Breast Cancer Action Group. The potential for serious side effects prompted Hazel to decide against participating in the tamoxifen trial, though she had at first signed up. Hazel feels that she witnessed firsthand tamoxifen's ability to stimulate new cancers. Her mother took tamoxifen after breast cancer surgery for nearly 4 years. She died in July 1990, shortly after doctors had taken a sample of her liver and found cancerous cells. The doctors believed that the cancer that had spread to the liver was not breast cancer, but a new cancer.
She had virtually no normal liver tissue. And it was aggressive. The thought crossed my mind when my mother died, could this drug possibly have been involved in any way, shape, or form? In some unintended way, of course.
And what Hazel learned recently from a call to the National Cancer Institute also alarmed her. She asked about both human and animal studies which linked tamoxifen to changes in the liver.
The NCI information specialist said, well, yes, it was carcinogenic to the liver of rats in tests that were done by the manufacturer, but that these were, high doses. Well, that was not comforting at all.
But Anna sees the potential risks as an acceptable trade-off for a gamble to help her daughter Meredith, as well as her sister, avoid her fate.
Breast cancer is what decimates the women of our family. So if this is a chance for Olga to not have to go through any of this, then I think with careful examination that the risk is minimal for her.
Hazel, who holds a master's degree in public health, has begun a personal campaign to make sure women know all the facts about tamoxifen side effects.
Say,
Okay. And Dr. Fu Berman believes that only women who are at the highest risk for breast cancer should be recruited into the trial. However, the tamoxifen trial is open to women who are at much lower risk, such as older women with no special risks other than their age.
The National Women's Health Network does not feel that a woman whose only risk factor is being over 60 should enter this trial, that the risks of tamoxifen outweigh the benefit for that woman. A 60-year-old woman only has about a 10% lifetime risk of developing breast cancer, and her chance of developing breast cancer within the 5 years is less than 2%.
While American scientists debate the value of the tamoxifen trial, some women have already become human guinea pigs. In experiments at the Royal Marsden Hospital, British researchers have conducted the only tamoxifen trial of healthy women at high risk for breast cancer. Breast cancer specialist Dr. Trevor Poles.
We may be able to show that tamoxifen does things in test tubes. We may be able to show that tamoxifen does things in rats. And we may be able to show that tamoxifen even does things in other animals. But in the end, we do not know what tamoxifen does in humans. And I think we've got to do the experiment.
So the controversy ultimately comes down to this question. Does the possible benefit of giving tamoxifen to a woman without breast cancer outweigh its potential risks? Many scientists say we cannot answer that question without doing a trial, and now is the time to do it.
I'm convinced that now is better because I don't believe that the people who feel that this works are going to wait. I think they're going to begin using it. And so what's likely to happen is in a few years, we're going to have people say, well, I'm not going to participate in the trial because I'm going to go ahead and get it anyway.
In the meantime, a woman considering entering the tamoxifen trial has to weigh the evidence and decide for herself.
I probably have a less than a 6% chance of contracting breast cancer in the next 10 years. I'm willing to take that risk.
But for Olga Wexler, there is only one choice.
I'm being offered a chance to do something now. I'm not going into it blindly. I'm not going into it uneducated. No one's put a gun to my head and said, you have to do this. I have made the choice to do it for myself. How can anybody say to me, unless they truly know what I know and feel how I feel, maybe you should wait and see what happens with the drug? It's my life.
Tim, how does a woman make this decision?
If she is at very high risk, like Olga, I think the chances of benefit so outweigh the potential risks that it is not a tough call. But for the woman without an unusual family history who has simply the regular risk for breast cancer, it becomes a much tougher decision. She's got to talk to her doctor clinic, read the informed consent form for the trial carefully and completely, and then make an informed choice.
Because I guess when we first heard about it, almost every woman said, I want that too.
Right.
It's only when you look into the risk factors. What about, you also mentioned the possibility of this preventing heart disease?
Well, because it acts like estrogen, it may prevent heart disease and bone thinning. And some of the experts I've talked with feel that its benefit will be more in that direction even than maybe in preventing breast cancer.
But again, there are the risks. I've heard something about there being a possible investigation of the trial.
Well, a California congressman, at the request of one of his constituent physicians, has asked the FDA to look into the monitoring program for the trial, and they are in fact looking into it. I wouldn't call it yet an investigation. I should also tell you that the experts I usually talk to about this matter deeply believe in the benefit of this trial.
So the tests are going on?
They are.
Thanks, Tim.
Well, next, a curious new trend. Single men who won't leave mom and dad. Guys in their late 20s and even 30s, but not on their own. Whatever happened to bachelor pads? Lynn Sure discovered this is where the boys are, still living with mom.
If you buy dry dog food, there's something you should know. They're pretty much the same. Right, Jake? Most of them start with ground corn as the #1 ingredient, even a fancy brand like Science Diet. But Purina One Dog formula is different because it starts with chicken. Chicken, corn, wheat, and other wholesome ingredients provide high-quality nutrition and a naturally good taste dogs love. To me, Purina One is the only one.
Purina One, also available in new lamb and rice formula.
On June 22nd, you'll meet a sedan that's not like everybody else's. Until then, you just have to wait, like everybody else. The all-new Mazda 626.
Yeah, the very first time I ate Equal. It's such a personal thing. I put it in my cereal, I put it in my iced tea, I put it on half a grapefruit. I think that people don't realize how much sugar they eat. You're more concerned about what you put in your car than what you put in your body. There's sugar, there's the pink stuff, and there's Equal. You have those three choices.
Equal has the great taste of NutraSweet and no saccharin.
When I sit down to make a choice, I choose Equal.
A mistake was made. Okay, we forgot. We overlooked it.
Say you need something sent overnight. There are a few companies you can call, but say you need it Saturday morning, guaranteed. There are two, but only one is so efficient.
Bobby, just give me a couple of minutes.
They get it there on time for far less, which is why to some, there is only one, UPS.
2 minutes, Gary. Yeah, right. Go, you score. Yeah, let's go get him up.
Yes, I got tickets to my show.
Let's go.
Stetson Cologne, easy to wear, hard to resist.
Where's that great smelling guy who got me here tonight? I got a front row seat here just for you.
Young men with good careers, law, medicine, finance. So why are they still living at home?
Well, first of all, I don't make enough money. My income is just really small.
And what he's saying is I won't be able to go to the beach. I won't be able to hunt. I won't be able to have fun.
Lynn Sure reports, still living with mom when 2020 continues.
In 20 years on the tour, Gil Morgan has never won a major championship. Now, after 2 sizzling rounds, his dream of a U.S. Open title is closer than ever. But the game's hottest players and a pack of former champions are close on his heels. See a second-round report tonight and live 18-hole coverage tomorrow on ABC Sports.
This summer, Channel 5 News will feature some of Iowa's unique communities in a special project we call Our Town. Channel 5 News crews will highlight the fascinating people, places, and events that make Iowa a wonderful place to live and work. And if Our Town comes to your town, you'll have a chance to win a trip for 4 to Worlds of Fun and Oceans of Fun in Kansas City. Watch for Our Town this summer on Channel 5 News. Auto Racing Weekly, Sunday at 10:30, only on Channel 5.
You're just as good as gold.
It's your car, your baby, your one and only. Everything about it has to be as good as gold. And when you're running on Amoco Ultimate, you're running on the premium gasoline drivers rate the highest quality. Ultimate cleans clogged fuel injectors in one tank full to keep your entire fuel intake system running clean. And you like that.
guardian, keeping you safe on Channel 5.
One of our most talked about stories of the past year began with this question: how old were you when you left home? Any man who came of age in the 1960s may well have kissed mom goodbye right after high school. But what about today's young men? In a trend that gives new meaning to family values, many young men are feeling that there's no place like home, and they're not leaving. Even men who, as Lynn Sure reported, have already started their careers.
The city is New Orleans. The players, 4 old friends. Robert, 27, is assistant district attorney in suburban Jefferson Parish and a partner in a private law firm. Kenny, also 27, is a recently graduated dentist. Tommy, who just turned 30, is a rehabilitation technician working with brain-injured patients.
Okay. Lawrence, can you come here for just a second? Lawrence.
And Lawrence is a 27-year-old investment banker.
I need to get a hold of that trust indenture that you were looking at yesterday.
They are all young, attractive, personable, and upwardly mobile. The kind of guys any mother would love having around. And that's a good thing. Because when all these fellows leave their jobs and go home for the night, the first words out of all their mouths are these.
How you doing, Mom?
Lawrence and his pals, and even his younger brother, are typical of a growing number of young American men who are choosing not to flee the nest when they start their careers.
Right.
In fact, a new census study shows that nearly 1/3 of all single men 25 to 34 years old are now living at home with their parents, the highest such rate ever. The new trend has even inspired this New Yorker cartoon. Young man to his startled father. "Can I stay here with you and Mom? I don't like what I've seen of the real world." The problem is, the real world just costs too much, at least for these 4 friends.
Well, first of all, I don't make enough money. My income is just really small.
Tommy, the physical therapist, says if he moved out and into his own place, he just couldn't afford to do all the things he enjoys.
I can't lead the lifestyle that I want to lead.
Because of the current economic situation, this generation may be the first in history who cannot do better than their parents. So Lawrence is even working with his folks at the family brokerage firm.
It's part of a plan. It's part of a plan to where now you can put monies aside that you have available when you become married.
But you're able to focus.
And you're able
on your
to
career.
focus. That's
Put
exactly
all your
right.
energy
You're able to put all your
career.
energy and focus on your career and struggle right there.
It's an enviable goal. After all, how many young professionals on the first rung of the corporate ladder could move right into digs like these?
And we'll do that.
No wonder so many young men are choosing to live at home. Look at this neighborhood in suburban New Orleans. There's a golf course, tennis courts, beautiful homes, some with swimming pools in the backyard. Living here can be very comfortable, especially when Mom is right there to cook your dinner and wash your socks. Do you do his laundry for him?
Yes, but he can do it himself. But it's no problem.
You iron for him?
Yes, but he can do that himself.
But you tend to do it, right?
Yes.
Do you cook for him?
But he can take care of himself.
Keep in mind, Kenny's mom is doing all this for her son, the dentist, while also working part-time herself as his receptionist for no salary until he gets established.
And I'm gone up at 6:30 in the morning, gone all day, and home around 8 o'clock at night. When do you have time to wash clothes and everything? As far as fixing dinner and cooking and everything, that's out of the question.
Go do that.
If I was on my own, I'd have to pay somebody to do most of that.
Does he pay rent?
No. He doesn't make any money yet.
But he's a dentist. I mean, everybody knows dentists make a lot of money.
Right, he just got started.
Next month.
Things are a little different with Robert, the lawyer. Perhaps because his mom is divorced.
He pays for a housekeeper. He pays for a gardener. So he contributes in his own way.
Mary says Robert comes and goes freely, but the rules were much stricter when her daughter lived at home. She admits there's a double standard, that motherly concern for her daughter limited her freedom.
So I think if she wants this complete independence, it's easier for her to live away from home.
But your son doesn't want that complete independence?
Well, he more or less has it.
That's the main reason why nationwide so many fewer young women than men are living at home. Clearly, the guys have more freedom.
That is true.
There's no way.
But even that isn't total.
Like there are no rules, but there are certain moral character that you should have, and your parents expect that of you. And one would be, bringing a girl home at 3 o'clock in the morning and waking up to breakfast, no.
Do any of the young women that you date ever look at you strangely when they find out you're living at home with your parents?
I think of girls find it attractive. I mean, they say, hey, that, here's a guy who lives at home. He's, maybe take care of his mom and so forth like that. They tend to be attracted to that, if anything.
Tommy doesn't agree.
They think I'm crazy. They actually think they wonder why I'm still living at home, and it's kind of embarrassing that when you tell a girl that you don't make enough money.
What Tommy is embarrassed about is that he spends so much of his income on his passion, amateur tennis. Income that could well fund an apartment of his own. At 30, he is the oldest of this group and has been living at home the longest, 9 years. Even he is beginning to wonder whether it's a healthy situation.
I feel that I reached 30, and I feel that's an age that I need to get out. I feel a little dependent right now with my parents there.
Tommy's dad agrees, and he is willing to help.
But if he needs encouragement, I can certainly give him that. As far as leaving the nest and getting out on his own.
Any fears about moving out on your own? Are you afraid?
Yes. The main fear that I have right now is struggling. I don't want to struggle when I get out.
And what he's saying is I won't be able to go to the beach. I won't be able to hunt. I won't be able to have fun. Get a job. Get a better job. Get a second job. Work.
Dr. Dan Kiley is author of the book, The Peter Pan Syndrome. He believes men who live at home with their mothers simply don't want to grow up and are avoiding the struggle of living on their own.
Every day your son is here past the day of his 25th birthday and lives here when he could, even though he had to sacrifice, move out, he grows weaker.
Your son is 30.
Yes, he is 30. I can't believe it, but he is 30. I just found this out recently. He doesn't have a savings, and I'm disappointed in that because I think we've provided a home for him, and he doesn't pay rent, and I think that all this time he should have been banking some of that away,
I have definitely thought about sitting down with Tommy and discussing with him a certain cash flow, I guess you could say.
Tommy's dad says he now realizes that living at home may have kept Tommy from developing financial responsibility.
He may have concentrated too much on his tennis game, okay, because he is a tennis nut, okay, he really is. And he works, but he plays tennis when he's not working. And that's it. I've thought about the possibility, if he's going to continue to stay there, that he should go ahead and contribute, say, $25 a week for groceries. Don't give it to me, give it to his mother.
But I do help around. I'll go to the grocery store once in a while without even being told. Go to the grocery store, pick up groceries here and there, and bring them back. And sometimes the eyes get this big sometimes when I do it.
It's that unusual?
But it's not expected, I guess, out of me. But I do it.
In fact, very little has been expected of Tommy around the house. Just yard work and cleaning his own room. And that, says Dr. Kiley, may be one of the biggest problems.
The parenting that we've done over the last 15 or 20 years that I believe has, to use an old word, spoiled the kids. The guys don't realize that they're spoiled. This is what they've had. This is what I've had. I'm not spoiled.
In other words, the parents may be equally at fault by so willingly providing for their children. Tommy's folks admit to spoiling him and his 2 brothers, all of whom live at home. But now even they realize that too much grown-up family can be a strain.
When you have 5 adults trying to live in a home the size that we have, it does get to be a problem at times. Everybody likes their privacy. I don't care how close the family gets, how much you love one another, you still need a certain amount of privacy. And in our case, that is diminished considerably, okay?
In a recent Doonesbury cartoon, when Zonker, who was 30-something, announced he was moving back in, his parents reacted swiftly. "I love him, but can we get a court order? I'll call the lawyer. You cut off his food supply." That approach is a bit extreme for BJ, but she does seem to have concluded that Tommy's days at home are numbered.
Oh, I could never say get out the house. No, I couldn't do that. But I would encourage him to save your money, take advantage of the time you're here with us, and just save your money. I mean, because one day, you may have to leave.
Lynn, it was just under a year ago, I guess, that you visited these 4 young men. Are they still living at home?
Well, Hugh, despite an awful lot of teasing that they took, apparently, as a result of our piece, 3 of the young men still are living at home. Robert, the guy in finance, and Robert, the lawyer. Lawrence is the guy in finance, and Kenny, the dentist, are all still living at home. But Kenny is about to close on a house. He says he is looking forward to moving into his own home and doing his own laundry and ironing. So there's a little progress there.
And the physical therapist, Tommy, announced that he was going to leave. Has he done so?
He sure has. He has moved out on his own. He said, in part, the 2020 story was the catalyst, but after all, he is now 31. So happy birthday, Tommy, and congratulations.
Great. Thank you, Liz. We'll be right back.
Breck introduces an extraordinary indulgence for your hair. An all-new Breck with Vitazomes. Uncommon hair care with vitamin-filled microcells that burst forth as you massage them in. New Breck releases fresh moisture, nourishing your hair and your scalp as well. New Breck with Vitazomes. A healthy indulgence for your hair.
Who are you going to call the most this month?
My parents. They travel a lot, so I call back home quite often. I call my sister back in Ohio.
With Sprint's new program, The Most, you'll automatically save on whoever you call the most each month.
Steve?
There are no startup lists, no restrictions. Every month you can save on someone entirely new.
This month it'll probably be Greg. My daughter in Las Vegas. Next month, who knows?
The thing's perfect for her.
Of all the things around your house that need batteries, there's one thing that needs a good, fresh battery most of all. See your Allstate agent for a free home fire safety brochure. And please, check the battery in your smoke detector often.
Everybody needs some money sometime.
Only Western Union can get money to over 16,000 locations in minutes. Nobody else even comes close. Western Union, the fastest way to send money.
There's never been a better time to tackle those big painting jobs. Because right now, Sears Easy Living Satin Finish Interior Paint is on sale. Only $13.99. Save $3 a gallon. And Easy Living means one coat coverage you can count on. Only at Sears.
Take a tip from Dan.
You can become couch potatoes on the weekends.
Spend your weekends with David Lynch's new comedy. On the air Saturday. Beginning Sunday, he's headed your way in the television event of the summer. Surprise! The Commissathon.
I haven't had this much fun and I don't remember.
5 hours of intrigue, fun, and humor.
We the people of Earth welcome you.
Starting with a special 2-hour commish movie.
Got our cop killer.
Followed by an action-packed week of the best of the commish. The Commissathon begins Sunday.
Well, as you know, Russia's President Boris Yeltsin was in Washington this week, and he grabbed headlines, but Mrs. Yeltsin was also there, and I know that Mrs. Bush invited you to a luncheon at Mount Vernon, and you got a chance to know Mrs. Yeltsin.
Yes, I did. Well, you know, she's not seen as much in Russia as she is here. I found her very warm and easy to talk to, easier, really, than Mrs. Gorbachev.
Really?
She told me that she had worked most of her life as an engineer, that her husband was also an engineer. They met in engineering school. She said he got better grades. When they moved to Moscow, she stopped working at that point and stayed home with the family.
I've heard him comment on rumors about his drinking and everything. How does she feel about that kind of thing?
What she says is that they were spread by the opposition, by his political enemies. And she said it's very hard on her children when they hear and see this. You know, same kind of complaints we have in our country when families are criticized. And she says that there are people on the right who still oppose his trying to work things out with this country. They say he's groveling. He says it's necessary.
Very interesting. We're going to be right back.
NutraSweet. It's in over 4,000 products and enjoyed in 50 countries. And it lets 200 million people around the world feel better about eating what they want to eat. And what could be better than that?
Free food?
Fair enough. Just look for any product with NutraSweet and you could win a year's supply of groceries. Yeah, that got your attention. Look for details and official rules on the NutraSweet Summer Sweeps in the coupon section of your June 28th paper.
On June 22nd, you'll meet a sedan that's not like everybody else's. Until then, you just have to wait, like everybody else. The all-new Mazda 626.
News on women's health. The Gyne-Lotrimin cure for recurrent yeast infections introduces convenient disposable applicators. A new one each day. Disposable plastic applicators only from Gyne-Lotrimin. Now a fast cure is an easy cure.
Next, Democrats take the budget mess into their own hands without the governor's stamp of approval. Des Moines sees its second murder in just 3 days. And it's Safe Sex Weekend. We'll take you to some Des Moines bars as they hand out thousands of condoms. Channel 5 News is next.
Monday, cop and attitude with double doses of police action. Freeze! It's FBI, The Untold Stories. An American detective with 2 crime-busting episodes each. Twice the action, twice the attitude.
Please, you better stop.
Double episodes of FBI, The Untold Stories and American Detective Monday.
So next week you have a big interview coming up with the Bushes.
We're very excited about it. We have an exclusive interview with President and Mrs. Bush. We're going to be talking with them separately and together for a good long time.
What questions are you going to ask him?
I would tell you, but if I tell him, then it won't be a surprise. You know what we tried to do? We really tried to ask, you know, the questions that we think everybody out there has been trying to ask for months, and now we have the opportunity to do it.
Right.
So we hope everyone will watch next week.
I'll be watching because I can't be here next week. But, I look forward to that.
I'll represent you, too.
Thank you. Tonight on Nightline, Ted Koppel is off and Chris Wallace is sitting in. Chris, what have you got?
Hugh, tonight we'll look at people who have been sent off to psychiatric hospitals after complaining about corruption in government. No, we're not talking about the old Soviet Union. It's happening right here in America. That's our story tonight.
Okay, Chris. That's Nightline after your local news. And that is 2020 for tonight. We thank you for being with us. As I said, I'll be back the 3rd of July.
And we're in touch, so you be in touch. I'm Barbara Walters.
And I'm Hugh Downs.
Have a good weekend. For all of us here, we wish you a good night.
I'm David Brinkley. On our This Week program Sunday, Secretary of State James A. Baker. What about aid to Russia, American troops still in Europe, the Bush campaign, and more? We'll ask. Sunday.
"2020 is a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.
America's watching ABC.
I'd like to ask you something. What if there's a place where you could get some of the best tasting food you've ever had at one of the best prices you've ever seen? Now, what if I added that it's a very nice, clean, family kind of place with food you love and food the kids love too? And it's all you can eat at one low price. Well, the question isn't, are you coming? That's a given. The question is, how many times can we expect to see you?
This Father's Day, for just about $2 more than our regular price, treat Dad to one 8-ounce serving of juicy prime rib.
You know, when you treat folks right, do good work and stand behind it, word gets around.
I appreciate it, ma'am. That's why I always tell my customers to buy Quick Trip gasoline. You see, Quick Trip is known for treating folks right. They stand behind everything they sell. And that includes an unconditional...